What I have in front of me is a list of what's titled as 50 plus Israeli lies in 5 weeks. No 40 dead babies, no baked babies, no beheaded babies, no children in cages, no eyes gouged, no raped women, no ripped breasts, no paraded captives, no tortured captives, no mutilating dead bodies, no pregnant women cut open, no mass rapes with broken pelvises, no Israel did not found Shifa Hospital, no Biden did not see pictures of dead babies, no, October 7th was not unprovoked. No, pro Palestine are not pro Hamas rallies. No 8-year-old Emily Hand was not found dead, I beg your pardon. No global day of jihad. No planned cyanide attacks. No all female Israeli unit killing 100 Hamas. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And we can actually go through each and every one of them because we need to. And we need to highlight the fact that there is this, what we call propaganda, Israeli propaganda. And as I mentioned in my introduction, it is the media propaganda war at the moment. And to talk to us about the truth behind some of these viral images, and there's one very disturbing image, and all of them are, but there's a specific one that I have in front of me that we'll probably talk about with our very special guest who is talking to us live out of Jenin this morning. He is a journalist, Brother Osama Nazzal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, Brother Osama.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
As I said when we spoke off air, that it is said that we're catching up on, talking to you out of the West Bank this morning under such, I don't know, horrific, horrible circumstances. We can't even find the words anymore to describe what's happening there. Can you give us an update on the latest in Jenin?
Yeah. The Israeli occupation continued their arrest campaign against the Palestinians here in the occupied West Bank in parallel with the war crimes that are being committed on minute basis in the Gaza Strip. Just last night, the Israeli occupation forces stormed into different cities, villages, and refugee camps in the occupied West Bank, including here in Jenin, in the northern part of the West Bank, arresting 50 Palestinians, bringing the number of the Palestinians arrested from the West Bank since last October to more than 2,600 people. The Israeli occupation forces opened fire at Palestinian citizens who tried to defend their houses and their villages, injuring a number of them, including one in a very critical condition, the village of Kofradan, which is about 5 kilometers away from the occupied city of Jenin. In the West Bank, the Israeli occupation forces continue closing the roads between the Palestinian cities, as Palestinian citizens can't move from one town to another without passing through these checkpoints where they are humiliatingly searched, inspected, and sometimes forced to return home without continuing their journey. So the situation here is volatile, precarious, violence by the Israeli occupation forces, by the Israeli settlers at the same time who enjoy protection by the Israeli army and given a free hand to attack Palestinian villages, as many Palestinians were not able to pick their olive harvests really because of the Israeli settlers knowing the economic importance of olive harvest to these families in the West Bank. This is the situation until now.
So, what we're hearing you describe is that it's just escalated hundreds and hundreds of times more than you have been enduring for the last 75 years and more.
Yeah, the difficulties and the situation that the Palestinian people are going through is unprecedented, really, because we are talking about a genocide. As we see the Palestinian children, Palestinian women in Gaza who are slaughtered by the Israeli war jets and by the Israeli missiles. According to the United Nations and international organizations reports, I'm not talking about Palestinian reports, that Israel kills a Palestinian every 5 minutes some days and every 10 minutes other days. So we are talking about a butchery, we are talking about a massacre that, yes, the Palestinians have never experienced before except for the Nakba in 1948. So what we are witnessing today is over human beings' imagination. If we
Mm,
talk about the West Bank, the humiliation and the insult and the disgusting images that we have never experienced as Israeli forces detain the Palestinian youth and force them to strip naked, and they beat them, they torture them even before the eyes of their children and their wives, as what happened in Hebron days ago. They badmouth them. So we are talking about unprecedented violations of human dignity and human rights by the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinians these days.
mhm. So, as a journalist, has your reporting become a little more challenging now?
As a journalist today, your life is at risk any minute. We are talking about 50 Palestinian journalists killed since
Exactly.
the 7th of October in the Gaza Strip. And also in the West Bank, the situation is not easier, as Israel detained since October 7 about 18 to 20 Palestinian journalists, because they are journalists, because they are doing their duty and they are covering the Israeli occupation forces violations. So Israel has no respect at all to the journalism profession, and the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate contacted the International Federation of Journalists and the human rights organizations to press Israel to stop its campaign against the journalists. But this did not work, and the Israeli forces continue to practice all forms of violations against the Palestinian press and against the Palestinian media. Not only the Palestinian, by the way, also the
Mm,
Arab and foreign media working in Palestine. Just yesterday, Israel decided to close the offices of Al Mayadeen satellite channel in the occupied West Bank and in Jerusalem, though it is a Lebanese channel.
mhm.
So, yes, it's not easy to be a journalist in Palestine.
And how do you find yourself wanting to, apart from what we're doing now, um, to dispense, if you like, the truth? Because it could be labeled as Palestinian propaganda. I don't even want to use Hamas propaganda, but Palestinian propaganda. That's a fight against a huge network of Western propaganda, if you like. How do you manage that?
Yes, first we know that the Israeli propaganda started long ago in order to demonize and dehumanize the Palestinian people and the Palestinian struggle for justice and freedom. And Israel pays hundreds of millions of dollars for different media outlets and for different renowned persons who accept this job for themselves in order to tarnish the image of the Palestinian people and to
Yes.
falsify the Palestinian story. So the Palestinian journalists have no other option but to show the world the truth despite all the dangers posed to them, because it's not a matter of like a career or a job only. It
Mm,
is like a national duty taken by almost all the Palestinian journalists. We see how the journalists in the Gaza Strip, for example, holding their cameras in the areas bombarded all the time and telling the people about what's happening, despite the life threat that they have. And we
mhm,
also saw how the Israeli media put the photos of some of these journalists on the
mhm,
Israeli media websites and threatened them and tried to tarnish their image, and also incited and instigated the international media outlets like Facebook company and Twitter not to publish the content of these journalists. So the Palestinian journalists have really a battle now, but it is a national battle, because if they surrender, then the world would not discover the truth and would not understand the reality of what's happening here and the brutality that the Israeli occupation forces and the Israeli settlers are using against the people of Palestine. At the same time, we depend on the friends of the Palestinian cause and the supporters of justice for Palestine and for all on this planet, who use their social media accounts and they raise their voice, not in favor of the Palestinian people, really, but in favor of justice, because
And
what we are seeing now in the Palestinian territories is a real ethnic cleansing campaign, a real genocide, and we still have good on this planet, really, as many people, regardless of their ethnicity or their religion or their place of residence, they all raise their voice and show the whole world the ugliness of the Israeli occupation and the ugliness of the Israeli occupation government officials, the war government that has no taboos these days, doing everything it can against Palestinian children, against Palestinian hospitals, schools, United Nations organizations, staffs. As we know that 101 persons have been killed in Gaza. They are all affiliated with the United Nations organizations, mainly the UNRWA. So yeah, the Palestinian journalists have a serious battle these days.
hmm So, what you're saying then is that, as much as they try to gag the journalists, we also find that there's a strong movement internationally from humanitarian activists and lay people that, of course, know that this that is happening is unacceptable on a humanitarian uh, basis. After the break, we look at just one example of the image that was posted, um, and what the propaganda behind that image and what the truth in fact was about the death of this elderly Palestinian man.
Yeah. Okay.
The people of Palestine need your support now. Africa Muslims Agency is on the ground, already providing food, medication, and emergency supplies in Gaza. Donate any amount to Heal Palestine at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Online schooling? Why not? Kurtuba Online Academy is the leading global online Islamic school from grade R to matric, offering South African caps and international syllabus. And it doesn't stop there. We also offer online madrasa for every grade. For more information, visit www.kurtubaonline.co.za. Kurtuba Online Academy, the leading global online Islamic school.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
SANZAF's Meals Distribution Project aims to create food security for those in need. By supporting our program, you can help us in our mission to provide access to nutritious meals on a daily basis and help us extend our reach. Join SANZAF in the fight against hunger by contributing to our food security initiatives. To learn more, visit sanzaf.org.za or call 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
At Sentio, our Invest for Good philosophy is based on a genuine desire to use our investment skills for the benefit of broader society by investing responsibly, giving charitably, and developing talent that will transform the investment industry. Visit www.sentio-capital.com for more information about our Sharia investment products and start saving with us today. Sentio Capital. Invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.
Every day, the Israelis are establishing a new settlement and expanding the existing settlement, and all this before the 7th of October.
Against the background of the dire humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza, accompanied by the genocide and carnage, Salam Media brings you world-renowned Norwegian physician and Palestine activist Dr. Mads Gilbert.
We are witnessing in full daylight on all television channels a mass slaughter.
Dr. Gilbert brings along over 15 years of experience working in Gaza's medical facilities, particularly during crisis times, especially with the Gaza Strip under a brutal, inhumane siege during this period.
When is the world going to wake up? When are we going to stand up and tell Israel, you stop this immediately?
For more information, contact Nadia Mir on 082-228-0303 or Yasira Suleiman on 082-728-6721.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031-202-4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust. Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back, and we have our very special guest, Osama Nazzal, talking to us live from Jenin. He is a journalist, and we're talking about the images now of the propaganda that's promoted through the Western media reporting. The picture I have in front of me has an elderly man. So I'm going to read the caption. It says, the first picture was posted by the Israeli army that is led by war criminals to show the world that it was helping an elderly Palestinian in the Gaza Strip. After taking the photo, the Israeli army killed the elderly man, executing the Palestinians in a very horrific way. So I can't display. We have the image on display there. So you can see that the first picture shows a helpful soldier, and later on we see an executed person lying dead. What can we say about these images and the propaganda as a journalist, from a journalist's point of view?
Yeah, this image is not different from the other thousands of images of the Israeli crimes against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. As we see, in 40 days, Israel killed over 11,500 Palestinians, and 4,600 of them are children, and over 3,500 are women. So we are talking about a real pogrom, a real massacre against the Palestinian civilians, whether children, women, or old men. And this image shows the reality of the Israeli occupation. We know that Israel has been seen by the Western countries, and it has been portrayed as the only democracy in the Middle East. So when these pictures are presented to the Western public and to the whole world, then they can discover what the reality of Israel and what the real face is. Yes, the Israeli soldiers here took a photo with this elderly Palestinian man in the Gaza Strip in order to show that they have a humanitarian corridor for the people in the northern part of Gaza to let them go south. By the way, the south is not safe at all, and many Palestinian families were killed in the south. And just last night, heavy bombardment by the Israeli tanks and the Israeli warjets were on the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Anyway, they took this photo with the elderly Palestinian man, and after they made sure that the photo was taken, they killed him. And this reminded the Palestinian people and the world that follows up the Palestinian situation of a similar photo in 2014 when Israel declared its war on the Gaza Strip that time, and an Israeli soldier appeared serving water to a Palestinian old woman on a Shuja'iyya neighborhood in Gaza. And after her family returned to the house, they found her shot and killed in the house. So, this is the ugliness of the Israeli colonial mindset and the Israeli colonial mentality. And these Israeli soldiers who act this way are not acting really randomly or impromptu. They have a plan and they have orders from the Israeli military officials, especially at the start of the war. The Israeli army minister Gallant told them that you are going to fight not human beings, you are going to fight against the human animals. So this is the way that they see the Palestinian people, and that's why they behave in such unhumanitarian and unimaginable way when it comes to the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank.
Hmm. There's one thing I want to say that stands out quite strongly, and I don't know, we have a comment here, and it starts off with Allahu Akbar, but then it goes on to say, "You are the liars. Thank you." Now, I'm not quite sure because it's there's Allahu Akbar there, but who are the liars? I don't know. But I think what comes to mind is there is going to be that you are lying and we are telling the truth. And they are lying, you know. So that is, I think, not up to us to force people to believe what you are saying to us today and everything else that we've heard from humanitarian activists around the world. It's not up to us to convince anyone what the truth is. I think as a human being, that innate compassion that we have in us has to be the deciding factor on who you think is the liar here. So I'm not interviewing Osama Nazzal here today just so that we can tell everyone else that, you know what, this is the truth and this is what we're seeing and this is our side of the story. There's no need for our side of the story. This is what I think, because you decide whether this is a truth or the lie. And I speak to our audience today. Whomever is for or against, it doesn't matter. If you can even tolerate those images, we're just seeing images. We don't know what it feels like. So ask yourself that question and know every human life is of value. So if we're saying there were lives lost on the 7th of October, then of course we feel that too, because those were innocent people. If there's truth in it, ask yourself that question. I think this comment from this viewer, I think it is, or listener, really does. I must thank him for his comment, because it has given us the opportunity to talk about us not being determined to tell our side of the story. Uh, and today is, in fact, the International Day of Tolerance, by the way. I don't like the word tolerance because I think we are um, people that naturally love and work towards peace. And this is our objective, and this is what we want to achieve through this humanitarian journalism on Salam Media. That is what we want. Let us just allow the humanitarianism to be exploited rather than the truth and the lies and you the liar and this battle and that battle and this conflict. It's not a conflict, it's a genocide. Thank you, Sama. May you comment on what I've just said.
Yeah, really, the truth is very clear because what Israel is doing these days is a live stream massacre against the Palestinians. All the international satellite channels are broadcasting what's happening on the ground in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. And the Israeli lies are no longer hidden. We saw how they started their propaganda against Ashifa Hospital, claiming that they are going to storm it because there are tunnels there and there are Palestinian fighters hiding there and the leadership of the Palestinian fighters and all that. When they stormed Ashifa Hospital yesterday, they found nothing but the people who were injured by the Israeli bombs and the Israeli missiles, and they found the newborns of Gaza without oxygen, without milk, without ventilators, and without any medical equipment because of the siege imposed on Ashifa Hospital since the start of the war. All the world watched that, and we saw also the international response to the Israeli propaganda when all the world discovered that Israel and the Israeli prime minister and his war minister were giving just lies to the world and to the United States administration. We all noticed how the White House supported the Israeli incursion, the Israeli raid on Ashifa Hospital yesterday. And after the Americans found out that Israel did not find any tunnel and did not present any of what it claimed, things began to change. And we saw how the International Security Council passed a resolution last night calling for a pause in the fight and to allow access of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. We saw how many journalists working for remarkable Western media outlets, how they resigned and they gave up working for these organizations after they discovered that they are working for the Israeli propaganda and for the publishing of the Israeli lies. So the Palestinians don't need to lie really to market their story because the story
Exactly.
itself is seen on the ground.
Hmm. We have some very strong comments coming in. I needed to ask you before I refer to that. If we have time, I will read it out. Um, on in the West Bank and where you are now, in terms of food supply and just normal daily activities, is that livable? Are you managing?
We can't say that the life is normal in the occupied West Bank, as I told you at
Mm.
the start of our interview, that every night large Israeli military forces storm into the Palestinian cities and the Palestinian villages and continue their arrest campaign, storming into the Palestinian families' houses, vandalizing their houses, damaging their furniture, attacking the men and panicking the children and the women. And yesterday, yesterday the Israeli occupation forces arrested not only men in the West Bank but also women. They arrested 17 Palestinian females from the region of Hebron in South occupied West Bank. So we are talking about like a large-scale aggression against the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, and also the restrictions on the movement and the Israeli many checkpoints at the entrances of the Palestinian cities and the Palestinian villages, preventing the Palestinians from moving from one part to another in the occupied West Bank.
Mhm.
And also we have the Israeli occupation government piracy of the Palestinian tax revenues, as Israel, it controls all the exits and entries of the Palestinian life here in the West Bank, and they did not pay the tax clearances to the Palestinian government, to the Palestinian Authority this month, and the Palestinian employees, the government employees, I mean, did not receive their salaries of October until now because Israel refuses to allow access of the Palestinian revenues into the Palestinian government general treasury or budget. So we are talking about a difficult humanitarian situation here in the occupied West Bank, but not compared to what we have in Gaza, because Gaza is under the war jets bombing 24 hours a day. But also the situation is not easy here, as Israel killed about 197 Palestinian youth since October 7 in the West Bank, and injured about 2,700 Palestinians. So we are talking about a fully fledged aggression by the Israeli forces, in addition to the closure of occupied Jerusalem, and people have no access to Al-Aqsa Mosque for prayer on Fridays and on the other days of the week. So, yeah, we can say that the situation here is dangerous, not secure, not safe, and nothing is normal, really.
Brother Osama, we can pray, and that's all we can do from here now. Offering our support, offering our solidarity as South Africans. Uh, but inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you and all of the people of Palestine. And may there be victory and may there be peace, inshallah. Is there any last comment from you?
The last comment is that the Palestinian people have no confidence and no trust in the so-called international community, the United Nations bodies that prove their failure to provide anything for the children and women and the hospitals and the schools in Gaza. And we can't hope on the public, on the people, on the peace and justice loving people who take to the streets every day in the different capitals in South Africa, in European countries, in the United States, in Asia, in Africa, everywhere, calling for stopping the Israeli genocide in Gaza Strip. And we hope that these demonstrations and these protests will continue and increase, because without you, Israel will continue its massacre against the Palestinians in the occupied territories, whether in the West Bank or in the Gaza Strip. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, and all the best to you and everyone around you in our beautiful Palestine.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
All right, we break for the 9 o'clock news with Zahid Jedward.